YouTube crew, it is Multiplier here now. Today is a very special day for two reasons. First of all, I'm going to show you how to automate the velocity in Ableton using a MIDI effect, but also Mr. Giraffe is back. And more importantly, Mr. Giraffe is back not just for fun and entertainment and lightheartedness and things, but because he's here to he's here to demonstrate important music production knowledge, which starts right now. So velocity. Now velocity is a technical computery sort of music production word for an effect you get in real life. Now if you play a real life instrument, it could be a drum or a piano, saxophone, or Mr. Giraffe, what you'll find is the instrument will sound different depending on if you play it hard or soft. Ah, that clipped the sound card. I don't know if I clipped again. Anyway, you get the idea. You've played an instrument in real life, and if you play it harder, it doesn't just sound louder. Importantly, it also sounds different. And this is important because it allows you to be expressive with that instrument. So you can emphasize certain notes, maybe de-emphasize other notes, but text message. Basically, by stressing certain notes and not other notes, you can create different grooves, different rhythms, even different emotional vibes, all with velocity. And that's exactly why we want to program it in our computery boxes. And so, just like on TV, here is one that I prepared earlier. Now, what I did in this example is do it manually, which is a load of headaches. So I'm going to show you the manual way, and then I'll show you the automated way using a MIDI effect. Now, in particular, as I'm playing this through, keep your eyes on the velocity lane at the bottom. You can see that the heights for all these MIDI notes are the velocities for each of those notes. And then you can see how, even though I'm playing the same little buttons on I'm playing the same little 4-bar section over and over again, but because the velocities are going upwards, it just sounds more interesting and sort of all like this. But yes, you get the idea. By adjusting all the velocities, you can create some sort of emotions and vibenting, and you can see you can just pull them all up and down willy-nilly. But then in a massive track with loads of chords, this can sometimes be a massive load of headache. In fact, sometimes it can be completely unpractical. So maybe you have your chords all crazy dense, and then you're like, oh, craziness, look at all the velocities, and you have to spend like a million years just doing them all manually. And sometimes that just doesn't work. Also, an important little nuance is maybe the relationship between the different velocities for the different chords should be a certain relationship. So maybe this one is always a bit more than this one, which is always a bit less than this one, and so on and so on and so on. But then you want that relationship between the 4-bar section to be consistent the whole way through. So you have the same relationship here, the same relationship here, and so on. But you still want the overall velocity to go up or down over time. And here it is, finally, how to actually do such a thing using, I'll just put that back, using MIDI effects in Ableton. So all that introduction was just knowledging you up and providing some context. Also, Mr. Giraffe got to feature, which is also good too. So let me grab just this little bit. So maybe I like the relationship between these chords here. So just, in fact, even just loop it through. Do a little loop, loopy doop. Brilliant. And you can even adjust the individual velocities for each of the notes. So you could take, say, that one, and then just have it a little bit higher than the others to create even more interest. But anyway, let me actually show you something, because I've done a lot of talking, important talking. But so what I'll do is Command J to consolidate, so it's a whole thing. Now what I can do is use a MIDI effect. Now the MIDI effect is called velocity. Boink. And then you go to, where's it gone? MIDI effects, there you go. Velocity, drag it out. So in this example, say, if I want the velocities to start off around 0 and then come in over the 16-bar period, then what I could do is automate this output high value. You can see it's on the left on the little square bit on the left, you can see how it's scaling all the velocities up to the maximum value that you set at out high, the maximum being 127. So you could say pull it down, and then all the values between, say, well, all the values will be scaled down proportionally. I'm going to scale them all from low to high in the first half, but then also scale them up in the second half, so it gets even more crazy. Because right now I kind of chose middle values for velocity, but then I want the final few sections to be velocity values higher than the velocity values in the actual MIDI. So I'm going to automate the output high for the first 8 bars, and then automate the output low for the second half. Check that out, everybody. Check it out, check it out. And this should sound good. Hopefully. Hopefully. We'll find out right now. It's going up. Yeah, it worked. Naturally, I did probably want to dial it in a bit more, but you get the idea. You can use the velocity MIDI effect to scale velocities up and down. And you can, in fact, do loads of other cool things with it, such as, if I just go back to the middly bit, you can kind of skew them in different directions with the drive and the compression-y sort of button. The important thing here is not this specific example necessarily, but that you can take a bit of something with a load of velocities and twist it about and automate it over time using the MIDI effect. And what I recommend you do, since all these sort of buttons and confusion can be quite confusing, and it can be quite confusing, and it'd be less confusing if I did the sentences right. At first glance, this whole velocity MIDI effect can look quite confusing. So what I recommend you do until you get more familiar with it is hit the little info button in the bottom left. And if you get stuck, just hover your mouse over it. And then within about 2 to 3 minutes of reading and like moving it about and thinking, you can figure it out. So it's cool stuff and a cool little trick that I've been having some fun with. And that is it. Fun is good. And so is noise and music and Mr. Giraffe. I think he has featured in the new studio, just not as often as maybe me or Mr. Giraffe would have liked. So it's nice to see him come back in the form of knowledge and education, and also just because it's Mr. Giraffe and everybody loves Mr. Giraffe. So he can get up there, can't he? So no, he can't. It's not important where he caught it. It's not important where exactly in the studio he goes. Yes, it is. Play with velocity, get creative, get expressive, express your grooves, your rhythms, emotions, vibes. And yes, use the automate velocity with the velocity MIDI effect if you need to automate it over a period of time. What's going on with my arms? No idea, but all I do know is that I will catch you guys on the flippity flip.